Welcome to Speak Your Mind in Business. This is our first event of this kind. We have done many other Speak Your Minds, but this is about business. And this is where a business owner takes the hot seat. And she will be, in this case, Francesca Cassini, welcome, will be asking our illustrious panel for advice about her business. Now, my name is Dr. Maria Kempinska. I'm not only a psychoanalyst, I'm a doctor of psychoanalysis, but also a business owner. I started a business with £300 overdraft and a bicycle as collateral, very modern, and created a business that was valued at 30 million. Obviously, for anybody who knows business, it's not all my money, but that is how business happens. But tonight, Francesca will be asking our illustrious panel all about her business, and she'll be asking various questions. Now, I personally love business because it's creative and has a dynamic all of its own, and I have huge respect for the process of business. And at times, when fear kicks in, I have all those questions, much like Francesca, I'm sure, and anybody else in business has. Have I done enough? Am I doing the right thing? Will I be able to pay everybody? And of course, will I be able to pay myself? The psychology of business is crucial to any business development. And I'm delighted to be able to see Francesca here with her, sort of to ask us questions in the hot seat. But before she does that, let me introduce you to our amazing panel. They are, first of all, Nick Longden, who's a serial entrepreneur. And can you give us an introduction to your background, Nick? And I would like to introduce Liz Sanday, who is not only an entrepreneur herself, but is a psychic, particularly in business. Can you tell us more about yourself? And Ian is also an entrepreneur, but he's also a psychic in business and for businesses. And if you can tell us some more about yourself, I think this combination will be very exciting for you, Francesca, and for us, and for everybody watching. So I really look forward to seeing how we can help you develop your business. So over to you, Francesca, as our very first guest. Welcome, Francesca Cassini. Hi, Liz. How are you?
Hello, you're right.
I'm just telling everybody how to get in. It's because Martin's not well. So everything is sort of working in a different way today. How are you?
It seems to be ages since I've spoken to you.
It is ages. I'm just, let me tell Francesca, email with login details. Yeah, because you've not met Francesca, have you?
No.
I've been running around looking at flats, trying to find out if I can get a mortgage, all that stuff. And my son's been helping me, which is great. Say hello to Liz.
You can't really see me.
You can. There's my son.
It's hilarious the way you jump through.
Into the through the wormhole. Hi, lovely to meet you. How you doing?
And you.
Liz is my psychic.
Oh really?
Yeah, she's brilliant.
Oh wow.
So I'm going to introduce you as a business psychic, okay?
Yeah.
Because that's what we're talking about, and entrepreneur, and then you can talk about yourself. I'm just going to give an introduction, introduce Nick as an entrepreneur, then say you're an entrepreneur and you do a lot of psychic readings for businesses. You can be contacted via the site, and the same for Ian. And then I'll introduce Francesca. So I'm keeping this. So I've sent everybody a message, except Nick, sorry, to say come in via email. It's all confusing because normally Martin does this, but at the moment I can't get hold of him.
Is he that poorly?
Well, he is sort of, and I don't want to get on his nerves.
Yeah.
How can I help?
Sent it. At the moment, I'm just waiting to see if people can come in. I might call you back, actually, Steph, if that's okay. Yeah, no, it's crazy.
It's like magic. He's there and then he's
yeah, it is
brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, me and the astral coming in.
And Ian, oh, there you are. That's better. You're in there.
Right, I'll leave.
Don't leave. It's nice to have you here. It's nice when you go. Oh, so hang on. Somebody else is here. Francesca. That's good. So you can have a chat with her. Hi, Francesca.
Hello.
How did you get in? Was that via the email I sent you?
Yeah. You can hear me okay?
Yes, perfectly. And this is my lovely Liz here, my friend.
Hello, please speak.
And you, it's great. Are you tarot lady?
Yes, I am.
I know, it's so exciting.
Ooh, I might get a little bit more than I bargained for tonight, though. Excellent.
It is going to be a big treat.
This is very exciting. I love the way that I didn't really know what I was coming to do, and then bit by bit, as the couple of days unfolds, like,
Maria just like creates magic, don't you, Maria? Just sort of all suddenly.
But I love the way, Liz is so willing to join in, and everything I say, should we try this? And I try things with Liz as well. We did a psychic and psychotherapist night, which was brilliant.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed that. And no, she's great to work with. And of course, she does lots of readings for people, and particularly, as you'll see tonight, for business. So, and I know, and it's because I think it can't be underestimated. And I'm so tired of people, and I've had this chat with Liz, I'm so tired of people saying to me, oh, you can't do that. You can't mix, sort of psychotherapy and this and that. And I thought, I can.
It works, doesn't it?
It works. So
slightly different perspectives, just really hangs together.
It totally works. I'm just not in the mood to do what everybody else thinks or tells me to do for this. I just want it to work for people, because to me, it's not just about the theory of psychotherapy or business. It's how can we be helped? How can we help other people as well? because everybody needs a bit of help. I think that's, you know, not just you, Francesca, with this, but I think at this moment everybody needs help. And, you know, psychics are so powerful and so important. Sorry, I'm just sort of farting around with my laptop here.
I'm just thinking how incredibly pink I am.
That's terrible with this, because you never sit and look at yourself.
No.
I do quite a lot of Facebook lives, so you don't see anybody, you just see yourself. So it's, you know, you have to just deal with it.
No, you look great, absolutely great.
Well, it's been so cold here.
Oh my
So I've got a radiator on just there, and all the heat comes underneath the desk and right up in my face. And then I've got an electric radiant heater there.
Oh.
So my body is cold, right? My hands are freezing, but my face is like really warm.
Oh.
So I get pinker and pinker as it gets hotter and hotter with this radiator. But it's the only way I can keep warm.
Whereabouts are you?
I'm on the coast of Wales.
Which coast?
The west coast.
All right.
Yeah, so bang smack in it's the middle, really. Well, it depends on how well you know Wales, but if you know Cardigan.
Very well.
Oh, brilliant. Well, Cardigan, oh, well, in that case, so I'm equidistant roughly between Cardigan and Aberystwyth.
All right. Yes.
And in a little seaside resort called Newquay, but Newquay, Wales.
Yeah.
Isn't that lovely?
Really lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But it's been.
Do you remember the program called The Prisoner?
Yeah.
Because that happened. Right?
A bit further north than here.
Yeah, that's something Paul Merry on.
Yeah.
An amazing program. I think we're just about to go into that world, sadly.
Yeah, well, I'm not having any balloon chasing me, I can tell you that. I hate balloons.
I'm a name, not a number.
Oh.
It's when they start giving us numbers, you've got to start worrying. We'll know it's all coming true. That was the warning.
I think the numbers come when you're on the doctor's list for the vaccination.
Yeah, true.
I don't have a doctor. I'm not registered with anybody.
Nor mine. Nor am I. Clever. I think that's the best way to be. Are you going to have a vaccination, Liz?
Probably not.
No.
But I've got polymyalgia, which I got from the flu jab, so.
You're not going to go any further and do any more. Why trust it? Yeah, if you've got that.
Well, the thing that gets me is that, you know, what I'm reading is that it's not designed to stop the transmission of the virus. That's like, like I don't get that then. I mean, obviously there is a point that we're not being told, but I don't understand the point that they're telling the mainstream.
I know.
You know what? I think if the press just shut up, then it would be so different, because all the time the government is keeping the press happy, and that's why they're doing everything all the rather than just going, oh, well, do you know what? You know, we can make it a lot more flexible. But the minute they say anything, the press is at them, and then the following week they're at them from a different direction. So, you know, I've got no, and do you know what? They're so thick, some of them. You just sit there and go, really? Did you actually ask that question? I could answer it.
You know, they're not really trained anymore. People just aren't in that world anymore. They're not sophisticated.
Maria.
Yeah.
Vanessa is saying that. So I did a post saying, go to the.
Is she saying she can't get in?
Yeah, she's saying it's asking for a meeting passcode.
Right. Oh, bugger. Hang on.
You just forward the email to her.
Yeah.
She'll be able to pick it up.
I could do, but there'll be quite a lot of, there might be others.
Yeah, do that then. Sorry to make you do that, Francesca. You have all their emails.
No, I have some emails.
Okay. Hang on a sec. Bugger.
I mean, if you could give me the password, I can just put it.
I will. I'll do exactly that. It should be. Close Zoom. Hang on. It should be in my Google meeting. Passcode should be 700-745.
Hang on. 700-745.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if Vanessa arrives. Try, and then I'll put it. If that's 700-745. Oh, okay. I'm doing it in that place. Okay,
Did
so,
you say? I'm waiting for Nick. See if he. Let me check with Nick and Ian. Let me check with Ian first of all, because Ian always has problems. Let me ask him, see if he's okay, because Ian always stumbles and fumbles, doesn't he, Liz?
I didn't need anything. I just got in.
I know, I think because I sent you that invite from here. That's the biggest problem at the moment. Otherwise, if I can take their email addresses, I'll invite.
She says that's not right. It's whoops, it's not.
Okay, hang on a sec. How do I find out what the?
Shall I just put that link in then? So I'm just going to smidgen you down. Hang on.
If you can forward the link on, she should be able to get.
I want to put it in a post. You see, they're getting it from a post.
Okay.
So if I take that link instead.
Yeah, do that.
And okay, let me change this. Edit post. Okay, so click here. Let's see if that'll work.
Let's see if Ian.
Let's see if she'll. Okay, so now I've put that link.
Have you lost me? There.
No, not you.
Right, let me see if I can copy this for Ian.
Let's see if Vanessa turns up. Bless her heart. Like, no, that's not working. Okay, no, that's not working. Okay, but she keeps coming, right? Like, yeah. Okay.
No, because I've had this so many, not with this, just on its own, but in other ways. You just get so frustrated. I'll have to find a different way to do it, actually. I've just sent that to Nick and I've sent it to Ian. But I can't tell if they're okay or not because they're not talking to me either. I just tried. Let me call Nick and see if he can get in. You two did.
It wasn't that difficult. It just went straight through.
We're the chosen ones, Liz.
Absolutely.
There you go. Forward.
We can have a lovely chat if not.
Exactly. I don't mind opening myself up to a business tarot reading, Liz.
You can.
It's fine by me.
If you want a detailed one, do you do Facebook?
Can you get in, Nick?
Yeah, just message me and I'll do you a detailed one.
Oh no, 6:30 for us, please. A bit earlier.
Liz Roberts.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Let's okay, hold on. Let me find you. Actually, I'll just hold that thought one moment because I'm just hearing from Vanessa.
Yeah.
She made it. Okay, right, Liz, back to you. I'm now going to. I find you under Liz
Roberts.
Liz Roberts. There's going to be a few of you, aren't there?
I wouldn't have thought so. Are you in Southminster? That's it. Like reading a book. one of my books I'm looking at.
I've got one mutual friend lives in Southminster. Yes. Okay. Yes, that's you. Brilliant. So I've sent you a friend request. Brilliant.
So just message me if you want a full one. Yeah, I've got it.
Please.
That's great. No wonder you wanted us to come here at 6:30.
Yeah.
It's like the half, as they say. In the theatre, everybody has to arrive half an hour before they go on.
Yes.
It's got to be done, because otherwise there's panic stations. When we were really revving up as a company and we had more than one show, it was crazy because people would run from one show to another and so busy. Oh my goodness. And we'd be checking, are they on their way? Are they coming? I'd be standing at the top of the stairs while the person's on stage waiting for them to come off and the next one running in and going on. It was mad. Stressful, to say the least. You okay?
Yeah, how are we going to let people in?
I'm doing I presume, because I am the host, then maybe I should put this over to you.
Yeah.
So you can let them in. I'm talking to my son. I'm not talking to nobody here.
Yes, it is.
So we can hear him. Oh, is that the son I know?
Yes, I think so.
Hello.
It was very, do you remember?
Yeah.
Francesca did a reading.
Yes, I do, absolutely. Oh,
You remember? Wow, that's really cool.
amazing.
That's about 15 years ago or something.
Long time ago.
No, that can't be right. That can't be right. You'd have been a child.
Yeah, I'd have been a teenager. Yeah, I don't remember the specifics. Oh, there we go.
No, neither do I.
Oh, that's cool. I know, I'm very excited to listen in to this, with all of you. Absolutely.
You can see all the girls are early, and Nick said, I thought we weren't starting till 7. That's because it said that on the invite, but it's not really. It's sort of 6:30 for us. What was it you remembered about the reading, Francesca, you did with Stefan and his friends? She remembered you. Was it Stefan and his friends? You remember, Francesca?
Yeah. I don't remember the readings. I just remember the experience. They were lovely. There I was, Liz. I was surrounded by young men. I mean, it was and they were hanging on my every word, and it was just really lovely. And you were just such a fantastic group of young guys with so much enthusiasm for life. But it was so much more than that, because I remember. I mean, to remember from 15 years ago, you all made an impact on me. And I mean, apart from the fact that you were all lovely and charming, there was that real sense that you were that you cared about the world that you were moving into.
Oh, that's a nice thing.
I think that's how you came across.
That's okay. Yeah. Well, that's a very beautiful thing. Yeah, thank you. That's absolutely true, I guess. Yeah,
it's lovely.
Yeah, as with lots of people, lots of wrong avenues, if you like, or mistaken avenues, sometimes not really caring. But it's kind of continued along that trajectory. Actually, I've ended up living in Thailand and traveling a lot in the last few years, and most recently training with a group that we do. Yeah, we do some third eye training and channeling as well. So that's kind of the path I'm starting to be now.
Fantastic. That's great. Well, it's just lovely to see you again, Stefan, after all this time.
Yeah, lovely.
Who'd have expected it, really?
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Are you enjoying doing channeling?
Yes, and also quite challenged by it as well. So like in the method that we're using, it's to kind of drop the mind and really like open up, and to whatever you're being presented with in the moment is just a part of the mind, the ego that's there blocking you from experiencing clarity of the channel. And so it's like just this continuous healing process of releasing whatever's coming up. So it's good, but it's exhausting because we're all just training to get more clarity. Like there's not many people that come with channels already, kind of thing. It's how can you develop the third eye, your channel, to be able to see with these things with more clarity. So we're all going through the ego shift process, which is tricky, but really, really exciting.
That's my alarm. Just oh, hi Nick. Sorry about that. Do you want to put your sound on? Can't hear you.
Sorry, I thought it was 7 o'clock. I do apologise.
No, it's not at all. It's confusing because that goes to everybody, but people are arriving now, which is lovely. I love it. And it and in fact, Francesca was saying hello to my son because they had met a while back.
Yeah.
Long
15 years or something. 14, 15 years.
Must have been. Yeah.
That is so cool. Oh, we've got another one there. Jules. Thanks. That's perfect. Liz, you look so comfy there.
Well, it's better just to be relaxed and chat, isn't it?
I love that bit. Absolutely. Hello, Jules. We can hear you and see you.
Hey, Jules. We've got Sunday somewhere. Who's on iPad too? Where's that?
Sunday.
Vanessa.
I love it.
And then somebody called iPad too.
Yeah.
Easter.
I think they need to just put the camera on.
Me, I'm too lazy to even put my name up there, I think. I'm feeling very much outnumbered here.
Nick, this is
Aren't you one of the entrepreneurs I'm going to be asking a question?
Nick, my son.
Allegedly, yes.
And you're too lazy to change your name.
It's an amazing how life works out, isn't it?
I quite like that. If you can be successful and that lazy, I'm up for that.
You know, I quite like being busy. I quite like, I think the worst part of any business is the stress. You know, when you haven't got enough support or there's something going wrong and you've got to deal with it. Not the emergencies. It's like when I run the clubs. I didn't mind, you know, the show itself has an energy, doesn't it? Anything you put on has an energy. You've got to make it right. That's the trouble with show business. It's got to be on there. You've got to get on. You've got to do the right job. And there's always a stress around that. But the enjoyment of that, there's also an enjoyment. But it's when you are being confronted by people that you go, oh my gosh, you know, in business that can get tough. I think that's the hard part. And when you're doing it on your own and you've got no support, that's when it's really tough. But that's not going to happen to you though, Francesca.
And I just want to apologise. I didn't realise, Maria, that you were already recording. So I'm so sorry that came across as a really...
This is edited. Sorry. We literally
Quickly nip for a shave if that's the case.
The reason it's on record is because it automatically goes into record through the site. So I'm doing just so you know, I'm doing an interview with Francesca on Friday, but Liz, I wanted to book you in to do your book and to do an interview with you, if that's okay.
Yes, of course.
Fantastic. I can't wait. That'll be so exciting about all the work that you do, masses of work in different ways and so on. It's going to be really interesting. And I did promise Ian, but we've lost Ian, I think. Let's see what he says. Yep, lost him. I'll give him a quick call. He's okay. But he most probably has done the same as you, Nick.
Sorry?
He's most probably done the same as you. Oh, I thought you said 7 o'clock.
Yeah, that's men for you. See, we can't be trusted with anything.
Far too literal. That's the trouble.
You've got a lovely ceiling with the lighting. That looks really good.
Thank you very much. I'm actually hanging upside down. That's the floor. I painted that with my very own hands, believe it or not.
Yeah, that looks really lovely.
No,
So I
can't
think
get hold
about
of
the manual labour I've done in my life, but I think At least we're all indoors and warm. Poor old Jules is out in the countryside, though.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, Jules, yeah. Where are you? You look as if you're in somewhere like Glastonbury.
Well, it's Castlereagh. Yeah, playing around with the Zoom settings. I wanted to get a virtual background, and it gives you the option to put your own photograph at the back. So
Yeah, I love that.
I'd just gone to Castlereagh the week before, so there you go.
Where's
I'm at Castlereagh.
where's that?
It's in the Lake District,
Oh, lovely. I love
right
it.
near Kendal.
Oh, really?
It's Keswick, isn't it? Isn't it Keswick?
Keswick.
I think-
It's one of them beginning with K.
Yeah.
Yeah, Keswick. That one.
Maria, if you ever get the chance to go
I've been to
Keswick, go to
I
Keswick.
have.
Go
I
there.
went to Keswick actually with a boyfriend when I was about 17. We hitched all the way there and hitched all the way back.
Wow.
Amazing. Yes, that's the sort of holidays I used to have.
I think we should concentrate on that trip all evening, and you can just tell us all about it.
Yes.
Jules, I've slept in that inner circle.
Have you?
Yeah, Castlereagh. I was with Maria. I was with Simon Parr, who you know.
Oh, ah,
And we slept up there, and he said, I went into the small circle with our sleeping bags and everything, and he said,
Yeah.
I'm just going to go and meditate and talk to the I don't know what he called them, I can't remember, but anyway, the angels or something.
Oh, right.
And I'm
Okay.
going to see if I'll ask them if they can keep the dew off us. I hadn't even thought about that. So I said, oh, great, thinking like, yeah, sure. The next morning when we woke up, we were completely dry. Our
Yeah.
sleeping bags were completely dry. And then about 2 inches all around the edge, soaking from the dew.
Really? Oh my days.
Completely
That's
dry.
wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I know the little circle. I know that is a healing chamber.
oh,
Yeah. I intuited that when I went. I approached it
Are
as a
you a healer, Jules?
pardon?
Are you a healer?
Well, Reiki. I do Reiki. Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Energy work, shamanic as well. So
Oh, I
yeah,
like money.
intuited that was a healing chamber. That little circle. Yeah. There was a bit of high priestess magic there too.
Okay.
I bet you felt
Did you
that,
bring
Fran.
some down with you for us?
Pardon?
Did you manage to bring some down with you for us?
Well, yeah. Okay. Close your eyes. There you go.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, it's always helpful. The whole world needs it at the moment.
Yeah.
A bit of healing magic, definitely. Oh, hello, Vanessa. Lovely to see you. Dee.
Hi, Dee.
We're starting at 7. What's the time now? 5 minutes. We've still got one more of our panel to turn up. And he's trying to log in via his phone, so bear with us. And as I said, Liz knows him as well as I do. Liz, our psychic here, and on our panel, but he's not logging into his phone, and he's not on his WhatsApp either at the moment. So I'm sure he'll come along at some point.
Is that Ian who I met
Yeah.
the other day? Yeah.
Do a radio program with you. So
Of course, it was only vocal, wasn't it? So I
so
wouldn't
you know what
recognize.
it looks like. He'll be on the program shortly. We hope, don't we? He doesn't know today, but that's lovely behind you, Dee. That are you a singer? Are you a musician?
Yeah, well, I was until lockdown happened.
Do you play?
I don't play an instrument, no, but I do sing.
Oh, do you? Fantastic.
Yeah.
He's a great singer.
Music.
Oh, thank you, Francesca. Yeah.
What is music?
I do all kinds of music. I prefer swing jazz, but I do country and all your classic pop songs, that kind of thing.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, yeah, you must miss performance.
I do. I really do miss it. It kind of complemented my day job, which is a therapist, psychotherapist. So
Are you? Well, welcome.
very serious side and then a very,
Party.
yeah, party side.
So, no, it must be interesting for psychotherapists to have a party. How are you? No, how are you feeling? No, let me talk about you. No, it's all about you.
Dee.
I'm a psychotherapist, Dee, so I get that. At some point, they did all this thing. If you phone one, you know, you're very egotistical. You know, if you answer one, when you're on the telephone, welcome to, you know, telephone number 0208-777-6399. If you dial 1, you're egotistical. If you dial 2, you're desperately in need of a partner. If you dial 3,
those jokes. I love those jokes directed at ourselves. I used to get the same when I was I do quite a bit of hypnotherapy as well, and they used to, every time I said that, people used to say, "Look into my eyes," and think, if I'd had the money that every time somebody said that, yeah.
I think it's great to do that.
You get that at doing gigs when you do anything that's psychic or tarot or anything like that, when they say, I guess you knew there was going to be a traffic jam, didn't you? Or you knew it was going to be bad weather, and it's like,
yeah. How did you know that? I think it's,
oh yes, that oh, Liz, do you ever get that? It's like you just reel it out, and then they go, so how did you know that? And you go, well, these cards, they sort of gave me a clue.
your energy, you know, you basically told me, I picked it up.
it's funny.
Hey, Vanessa.
Hi, Vanessa. Hi. So yes, it's all very interesting, that world. The world of
I have got the right Zoom meeting, haven't I, here?
On my screen here, Nick, you are the man that is in the middle of all these women.
I'm living the dream. What can I say?
You are. Let me see that photo. This is being recorded, by the way. Let me get my camera.
I'm in trouble already then, really.
Yeah, that's going to go viral tomorrow, like that parish council meeting did.
Yeah, I could never quite work out what the point of that parish meeting was. Was it good for her? Was she an annoying person? I couldn't quite work it out. People are all standing behind her and saying, well done, you beat those men down, but I couldn't quite work it out. She came across as a bit of a, you know, a bit intolerant, but I couldn't quite tell. But
I think it's this new paradigm whereby the host of the Zoom is the chair of the council. If you're hosting, you're in charge.
You're in charge. That's it. That's the rule.
That's what I got from it. I could only watch about 5 minutes. It was just cringe making.
Yeah, wasn't it? Awful.
I just didn't want to watch anymore.
No.
You know,
and I would never put them out to the public.
No.
That to me is just cheap. And I think it's embarrassing for her. I don't think she came across well. And I think it's 5 minutes of fame and then just, what's the point? Okay, we're getting off now.
I'll go on mute.
Okay, right. So we still haven't got Ian. He does know it's tonight. Did I remind him today? Did I need to, Liz, do you think?
It's all right, I've talked twice as much, so it's fine.
Sorry?
Shut me up so I can cover it.
He would be fun to have here. Let me just try him once more. This is my stage managing. My role as a stage manager here, which has to be done. Put myself on. And we've got Nick. Come back, Nick.
Yeah.
Bottle of water. All right.
So although everything's been recorded, we are editing, but you all look gorgeous and thank you for joining us. So first of all, can I say welcome to Speak Your Mind Business. Although we have had Speak Your Mind events for over the past year that I created and have had so many willing participants giving advice to people on all sorts of areas for psychotherapy and, you know, anything anybody has a problem with. Today we're doing one called Speak Your Mind Business, which I'm really excited about. And our business owner is Francesca Cassini, and we'll come to you in a minute. Welcome, Francesca. And thank you all for joining us tonight. And she is in the hot seat, and she will be asking questions of our panel. But let me just give you my view about business. I've been in business for a number of years, 30 odd years. I started my business with £300 overdraft and a bicycle as collateral. And I was well before all these bike lanes came in. And I have immense respect for what business can do for you and for others. And when I started mine, I actually did it in comedy. So I built a whole group of comedy clubs called Jongleurs. And for me, obviously it was a turning point because it grew to be the largest group of comedy clubs globally, 16 in the end. So I have we were the springboard for people like Graham Norton, Jack Dee, Bill Bailey, who was now on Strictly, all the top people, including Eddie Izzard, Stephen Fry, so many, Mike Myers, just so many that you can see nowadays. Anybody that you can think of started on the clubs. And so I know how creative a business can be, because fundamentally you're making something out of nothing. And I have immense, you know, sort of respect for the process of business, and also for the fear that business brings, the anxiety that it brings. Am I doing the right thing? Am I going in the right direction? Am I working with the right people? How do I choose people? How do I choose the business? How do I make sure that the numbers are done? Who's my accountant? Who's my lawyer? Which sort of lawyer do I need? Which sort of accountant? And will I be able to pay everybody monthly? And after all that, will I be able to pay myself? And I think one of the big questions we're going to talk about tonight, one of the big subjects, is going to be, how can I retain my authenticity, my care that I bring to the world? Can I bring that through my business ethos? And what is my mission? And what is my mission statement? And how does that work through business? I'm also a doctor of psychoanalysis, because when you can do one thing, why not do everything? And I'm one of those people, as you can see, that I'm always busy. And I like being busy. I think I like creating things. I like making something happen. And frankly, since Nick is our honorary man here, and I'm delighted to see you shortly, it's very difficult for women in business. I hate to say it, but it is. And I'm sad to say that it still is difficult, and we're still talking about inequality for women in business, and we're still talking about women not being paid the same as men, which is absolutely disgraceful. And I put a post up recently about that, about women should be paid the same. And when I started my company, I paid, this was in 1983, I paid everybody the same, because any comedian that was funny. Everybody who was a stage manager got the same as everybody else. And I still had men arguing about it. It's like crazy. Why are you arguing about it? Why should we be, here we are in 2021, being these entrepreneurial, dynamic women and still not being paid the same? But that may be a question for later. That's just my little piece about women in business, and just highlighting how difficult it still is for us. It doesn't mean that we aren't appreciated by men. I've got great friends, and Nick, I'll introduce you to shortly, we're not only going to be in business together, but he's also a friend. And most of the people I'm in business with have become friends. And frankly, most of them are men in the business I'm in. And as you can tell, in the world of clubs, you need men to deal with that. But before we move on to you, Francesca, before you tell us about your fabulous new business and being in the business hot seat, I would like to introduce you to the first member of our panel. And since you're the only man, and very welcome and good looking you are too, Nick, let's add that. Or shouldn't I say that in this work?
Yeah, you shouldn't say that. It's sexy.
I can because just say welcome, Nick, and Nick Longden, and he is a serial entrepreneur. But Nick, can you tell us more about yourself and your businesses?
Yes, I've, as Maria knows, I've had a strange life, and I don't take things probably seriously enough for my own good. But I went traveling for 6 months when I was 18 and came back 20 years later. Ended up working for a big corporation and absolutely detested it. I hate politics. I hate a lot of the people, especially at the top of corporate business. It's not about business. It's just about power, greed. And I found it horrific. So I was promoted to a director of Xerox and left the next morning. Burnt my suit. My first suit was called No Suits Limited. So fear for me isn't having the business or stressful having your own business. Fear for me is working for somebody else. And so long as I'm working for myself, I'll take the goods, the bads, and everything else. So I was going to dominate the world and be the world's biggest businessman. Then my wife got ill, and so I became a good small businessman so that I could look after her and keep things close. So and my telly's just come on in the background, which is good. So if you can't hear anything, that's because of that. So I started an environmental company, which was in the late 90s, which was unusual then. We managed to sell that on. Then I bought a couple of restaurants. Then I had this idea that, because my wife was having some troubles and wanted to get out of the country, I bought a pool hall in the south of France and turned it into a restaurant. And so I've had lots of different businesses, enjoyed most of them, some successful, some not, some a pain in the arse, some great. But I always enjoyed working for myself, and I don't find it as stressful as some, even if you're up against the money problems and everything else. So I also then decided that I started a charity, or helped start a charity called Young Carers, because that was important to me because I was a young carer. And any restaurant I've had, 50% of the staff have been either disabled, homeless, drug problems, or different issues as well. So I think as business owners, I think we have to, we have to have responsibility as well. And we carry a lot of responsibility with us apart from just making money. So having said that, after all that hypocrisy, I managed to get ill a couple of years ago. Nearly bought it. They bought me back a couple of times. And so now I'm deciding to go big. So all the time that I haven't, I'm now starting a global business. So you'll see in your high streets holographic mannequins instead of mannequins in shop windows. And I'm introducing AI mannequins over the whole of Europe and America as soon as COVID allows. So I've done all my small things, small businesses, and now I'll live or die by growing a larger business and working with Maria on projects as well. So that's me.
Very exciting. And it's going to be so interesting because I'm sure Nick will be involved in some way with you, Francesca, because your business is going to be very, very exciting as well. And I know that Nick is so caring, and I must say that I'm absolutely blessed by the people that I've got to know through business. And when men want to help, they can be immensely supportive. And Nick particularly, that's why he talks about money the way he does, because he understands that side very easily. And I love that when you can talk to somebody about the money side and all the complicated processing of business that I sometimes get not confused with, but I find, frankly, I find it boring. It's not my forte, to run things out. I'm much better at hands-on, creative, making things happen. So you have to choose the right people to work with, but also the best people to work with, and that you're all on the same page, and that you think about the business in the same way. That you know, sometimes you do things because it's the right thing to do, not just because of the money. And when you get investment from others, that's what makes it tricky, if you don't have the right investors. And now our first, second, third member of the panel, I'm saying that because I think Ian's not going to be able to join us, but our lovely Liz Sanday is here, and Liz is an entrepreneur in her own right. She has her own business, but also I am very grateful to know Liz because she's also a psychic reader, not only for personal work, but for business. And she's an amazing person, and she absolutely can do something remotely when you need it. And she sends emails and says, oh, don't worry about this, that will be all right. Or no, it'll all be okay, Maria, don't worry. And she's fabulous and just intuitively understands, and also can tell you things about your world and your life and your business, and that is so supportive and helpful, because there's no point having even a psychic if they're not very easy to talk to. But Liz is so easy to talk to. And I'd like to welcome you, Liz, to the panel. And Liz Sandy, can you please tell us about your background?
Yeah, thank you very much. And, you know, welcome to everybody. I'm primarily a tarot reader, and I've read tarot virtually all of my life and been lucky enough to have different teachers, but I've done a lot of study with it as well. And, you know, I'm a great believer in sort of the integrity of reading. And, you know, a lot of people just pick cards up and, you know, the things that they say to people are just absolutely awful. So I found recently that a lot of it's putting sort of elastoplast over people that have had quite poor readings or bad advice, and certainly in the business world, because so many people have been starting their own businesses or having to completely shift, you know, the way that they do it, be it onto online or their approach, and it's caused them a number of problems. So it's just been great, been really supportive. I've worked for a very large organisation for a very long time, and those of you at London based will probably know it quite well. And I got to quite a senior level, but I had the flu jab and I ended up with polymyalgia, which means that the blood pools in my muscles, so I have real mobility problems. So I had to retire, and that's when I went into this full time. So I trained with crystal healing, so I do a lot of work with crystals and, you know, psychic therapy. So it's not just sitting there giving tarot readings, it's a much broader package. I do lives certainly a couple of times a week, and if you take the one that I did yesterday, it ended up with something like, you know, 3,500 people watching me. So it's, you know, it's quite big audiences, and I have quite a loyal following, but I probably put myself out quite a lot more than readers, in that I'm always there on Messenger if people need a card or need that additional bit of support and advice, which I think is so very, you know, is very critical to people at this time. And it can be from a whole range of different types of business people, as well as, you know, people that are not knowing what to do with their careers as well, which is a big thing.
Just to add to that, as a testimonial, I said to Liz that I want to sell my flat, and she said, okay, I'll do a reading. And she did a reading, and then she sent me some crystals, and 2 weeks later I had an offer on my flat. God's honest truth. So there's a testimonial for you, Liz. And no, she is brilliant. So just to come back and say,
I'm pretty good with babies as well, so if anybody's almost
so now we're welcoming Francesca to our business hotspot. And just to say, I'm so delighted you're here, Francesca. I've known you for such a long time, and you've always been somebody that is ready to do something, always trying something new. And you contacted me and you said you've got a new business, and I'm so excited about it. So can you please tell everybody about your business and what's its name?
Yes. Oh, thank you so much, Maria. So I'm really delighted because some of you are part of the community that I set up. So yeah, so the business that I run is called the Silver Tent. And it came about just over 4 years ago when I started to get this really, really deep sense that women over 50 are amazing. The sense that we're not past our sell by date once we go over 50, 60, 70 and beyond, but there is a richness that we start to delve into more powerfully, I think, as we get older. But I really got this sense that as we come through menopause and out the other side, that potentially that's a portal to this deep embedded wisdom, and that we as a demographic, women over 50, are actually extraordinarily valid and valuable in our world today, with wisdom worth sharing. So I started to get this concept about this, and then just over 4 years ago, this idea just dropped into my imagination, sort of fully formed, about creating initially an online community to match those women over 50 who'd lost their sense of themselves. And I found, when I used to do a lot of tarot reading in the entertainment industry, and I was often meeting women over 50 whose children were leaving home. They'd sort of got a little distanced from their husband. Maybe they weren't in business, but if they were, then they weren't really feeling that drive. And they had this sense of being disenfranchised from the truth of who they really were, and disenfranchised from the fact that they had any point in life. It was as if they just thought, well, you know, they're no longer fertile in their body, and therefore they're meaningless, pointless. And it was extraordinary how many women I found like that, and I ended up doing readings for them. So the idea of creating a community for women who'd felt that loss of themselves, and then put them together with the women over 50 who'd either regained that sense of themselves or had never lost it in the first place, but had skills and expertise to help those women rediscover the truth of themselves, whether it was passions that they'd put to one side when they were bringing up their family, or discovering new ones. So that was really what happened, and it was this whole sense of creating this community. And that was the first layer of it that I started through a Facebook group in October 2016, and it grew really fast. But I knew that I didn't want to just create a Facebook group, you know, for women over 50, just somewhere where we can hang out and talk about what it's like getting older. That wasn't anything that inspired me. Within that vision of what I wanted to create was this energy of women coming together, reigniting this deep sense of passion and an ownership that we have value, and that we have value either for our own family or our local community, or maybe on a global stage. And that the Silver Tent would create opportunities for us as individuals and as groups to take our wisdom out into the wide world and really make a difference.
Mm.
And I felt so powerfully in the last few months during this whole lockdown how incredibly valuable we are right now. That now is our time to shine. And the biggest, grandest part of the vision that started to land was this idea that we'd create silver philanthropy, so that we would create a charitable aspect to the Silver Tent. Then our Silver Tent women could submit a project that maybe they'd had on a back burner forever, but never felt that they'd had the resources to manifest. So it could be something like, I don't know, setting up an orphanage in Nepal, or it could be creating something really amazing that would help extract plastic out of the oceans. I mean, you know, it could be anything from technological to whatever. But I think so many women have sat behind the scenes thinking, if only we could create you know, fill in the blanks, we could do something important or valuable. So I want to create out of the Silver Tent as part of the Silver Tent, Silver Philanthropy, that would then open its doors to submissions for projects from our demographic. And then they would be helped by a panel to fund those ideas that had the potential to really work. And we would put them in touch with the experts that could help them get it off the ground as well. That would also come out of our demographic. So everything would be in-house, including the funds from Silver Philanthropy. And I just have this sense, like I can see all around the world, like little lights of silver women and silver groups of women creating the most awe-inspiring, life-changing projects that would be served and financed by Silver Philanthropy. So yeah, so there's this incredible network of women over 50 and like doing what they are meant to do. Like I just had this sense that what if this is our time? If having the family and everything else was practice to get to this point. And so the sense that we're wise elder women, and the sense that it's in our DNA, that this is our birthright. It's like I can really feel that passion building and building to ignite that in every woman over 50 that's interested in being all that she can be. So that's the vision. Now, where we are compared to that, so it's 4 years on, it's been created out of nothing. Virtually every bit of support that I've had in creating things like websites and all of that kind of thing has been done out of the kindness and generous hearts of other women that have really gone, there's something here. This is something valuable and this is something powerful, and I'm going to pour my heart behind it. And in fact, every woman that's here has been part of that and has really felt that call. And I've been so amazingly supported by you all. But we're still relatively tiny. So we've got in our free community, we've got just over 7,100 women from all around the world. And it's a very engaged community on Facebook. Then we've got a smaller community of around 200 women who pay to be part of this, a relatively small fee, but there is this element of revenue. So that's where we are right now. Before lockdown, we were doing some wonderful retreats and events in person. We have retreats and events happening online anyway. And you know, there's something phenomenal about the Silver Tent. It's built on the ethos of conscious co-creative collaboration. And it's emerging into its true nature, which is a space for challenging convention and rewriting the myth of the older woman, so that we stop being seen the way that we're seen into who we really are and why we're really here. So yes, I hope that's made some sense, and I haven't
made a lot of sense. Do you have a question?
I do.
That you'd like to pose? It's
a very simple question, Maria. It's like, I'd love suggestions from the panel on what I do to take the Silver Tent as it is now to the vision of the Silver Tent that I want. And I'm looking at something like 1 million women around the world over 50 being part of the Silver Tent, at least 50% of those being paying members. And that would make Silver Philanthropy thrive beyond our wildest dreams.
And to make it viable in a business way. Can I ask you a couple of questions? I'll put the question actually straight away to Nick, but your microphone's off, Nick. One quick question. You have a website you've developed, and at the moment you communicate through Facebook, do you, Francesca?
Yes, it's all on Facebook, and Facebook it doesn't have the structure to explain the complexity of what the Silver Tent is all about. So the majority of people just think it's a place for women over 50.
Yeah, but that's fine. That's a great start. And to have your members is fabulous. But you've got some subscription. And do they subscribe on the website as well? I'm being, going down into fundamental details. Do you have a database on the website yourself now?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, Nick, do you want to take the question?
Yeah, I mean, speaking as somebody who's well past my sell-by date, I'd fit in quite well to it. I think the difficult thing is with something like this, I had a thing quite a while ago, because I grew up looking after my mum, and so I started a charity called Young Carers, which got too big for me and I had to hand it over, but now is a major charity. And the thing that I was faced with is what you're faced with, is that you think charging money or capitalizing what you're doing is wrong because it's for all the women, all the people. I liken it to putting the mask on yourself first in an aeroplane before your child. If you don't capitalize it and allow it to give an income, you'll let everybody down because you won't be able to give them what they want. So I think you have to look at it in a different way. Making money isn't a bad thing. Doing wrong things with the money you make is a bad thing. So you can give it back and put it into whatever you like, but you have to capitalize it and make it a viable thing so that everybody can be included. Now, if you've got 1 million members and they pay £2 a year, now that can then be put into things. So I think the main mistake people make with philanthropy, and I agree with philanthropy, every single business I do has philanthropy entangled into it. Resonance, a cafe which I'm starting up, which is the mannequins and such like, we develop any film studio, because we film it all for everything, into a cafe which will have free filming for young children, free sound. They can come and learn how to make movies. They can come. So everything we do, we work something in. But if we do that and take those kids on, and we're at the moment planning to take 4,000 children on to educate them in film and study, if we don't make my business work, we're going to let them all down. And I think the first thing is for you is to not be afraid of making money. It can all be transparent, all accountable, all you need to be paid, otherwise that you won't be able to run it. Then you can run things properly and do things properly. So that's the first thing. It's looking to capitalize it in a way that benefits everybody. And if people are enjoying it and they love it, I mean, who wouldn't pay £3 a year for something like this? If you say it like that, it's silly. But if you've got 1 million people, then you can put proper events on, proper things and whatever. So I think that's the first thing. It's you have a responsibility to them to make a profit. And you're not elders, you're experienced, wise people with a lot to give. But I'm 60 next year, and I agree with you. This is my time. I don't know why, it just is. And I'm starting a business. I'm getting things going, and feel very enthused by it. And the world we're in at the moment, by God, I think they need some wisdom in everything that's happening. So I think it's a great thing that you're doing, but I think you need to make sure you capitalize it and never apologize for doing that, because you're protecting all your members.
Before I come to you, Liz, if you don't mind, if I can just add to that, because every business, if you're going, the first thing they'll see is your website. You'll be on Facebook, and Facebook will be a marketing tool for you. And that would be great to get your community there and then move them onto the website. And then from that, you have to get them to subscribe. So the whole messaging has to be so clear. Now, believe me, I am not the best writer. So I write things down, and I've always got people saying, God, that just doesn't make sense. You're a better writer than me. I know that, Francesca. So I struggle with that side of it. So I have people that have to look at my things and marketing. But you've done one of the best things. And I know Liz spoke about her doing a reading and she had 3,000 people watching her. It's then how do you translate that onto your website? And what do you offer on your website, apart from the philanthropy, that will keep them on there? Yes, they can pay, but then what do you give them once they're on there? And that's thinking about all the products, whether it's information, whether it's knowledge of, sort of what just basic knowledge of running a business. You know, is it a hobby or is it a business? Is it something you can create at home and sell? Do you need help to know in your area how to sell something? Do you need knowledge to know how to develop something that you've made? One of my clients, she ended up making, it's extraordinary work she did. She embroidered things, and she ended up making all these cushions that she was selling. And suddenly something that was a hobby turned into a business, and then that grows. And it's giving that sort of advice. So it's whether you're going to be a mentoring service as well, whether you're going to do business courses to sort of, I don't mean heavyweight business courses, just what are your next steps? What do you need? What's worrying you? I also had another client. I very much mix my psychotherapy with business because that's who I am. I've decided to do my therapy in the way that I am as a person. And I have had a client that she was working at home. Her husband was going out to work, and she'd left her place of work, and she was designing amazing cards and paintings and all sorts. And she was sat at home designing these to put online to Etsy. And she was saying, I'm struggling. And I said, of course you are, because you're not getting feedback. You're isolated, you're at home, you have nobody there to help you. Go and talk to people in your area. Take your products to people and find out what they want, because they would love to meet you. And that's exactly what she did. She doesn't have to go out every day, but once she started getting feedback, it determined which way her work went, because she is a creative and creatives need feedback. And once she did that, she could then expand. And it was so interesting, just that small dynamic where for him, he thinks, oh, this is easy, you know, because that's the type of mentality he had with his work, because he was online, but he wasn't a creative. He wasn't the one doing something. And very often what women have, it's a gift, and it's also quite negative because they suffer from insecurity. Am I doing the right thing? Self-criticism. Because frankly, ladies, we haven't had a whole bunch of top women in business that can show us the way. And the women that come underneath us that are younger, they only have us to look to, or men. And as I say, I turn to a lot of men, and they're immensely helpful and supportive, and I absolutely love that. But in our business, when I spoke to Linda Bennett from LK Bennett, and I remember her saying, look, Maria, I've been in the boardroom and it's been really tough. But I'm sure when you get to that point, there'll be lots of people to support you. So the question is, what do you want to offer women when they come to your site, apart from yourself, Francesca? And if and when you do that, you know, how do you present it? And the website has to carry that. So initially, how do you make enough money to carry your business forward through the first stage, to do the content that you can do or ask other people to do, and people can buy courses from you, and you can start developing your business that way. And you can do talks like this where people can come and ask their own questions. But moving on to you now, Liz. Liz, what do you think?
Well, it's going to be hard to sort of fill in the gaps in between, but I'm just going to play back what I heard you say. And, you know, obviously being a woman over 50 and, you know, a prime person to join, it seemed to me that it was all aimed at the unique projects that people could do around the world. So I would sit here and go, well, yeah, but what's in it for me? Because actually, I don't want to do anything like that. So it's more about what the community is, what you can share, and then the next stage is to sort of look out at what people can do. But until you know what talents you've got, and as Maria said, very much about the courses and about the engagement, and you know, certainly people mentioned about Reiki, things like that, certain interest talks, you know, once you start building that community, then people are going to say, yeah, we'll fund that, we'll put money in, yes, that's worth paying for. And then you can do the sort of the look forward. I mean, that's just what what I was hearing. But it's clear messages, really, really clear messaging about, you know, what people will get, what they have to do. you know, this is how you join, this is what it is, you know, there's going to be I don't know, monthly newsletter or something like that, so that community continues to be engaged and doesn't drift.
I think I just want to feed back for a second. What I'm really getting is clarification that I can't do that on Facebook. There isn't anywhere for that clarity to be put. You know, people say, why don't you put something up and you can put it in files, but nobody looks in there, so there's no point. So what I'm really getting is that what I want to do does need to be on the website. That has to be my focus, and I really appreciate.
I take that one stage. Yes, is that, I mean, the one thing I would get, the main thing I took out of the corporate world, which is not a lot apart from the fact that I didn't like it, that's the other thing I took out of it. This absolute lunatic who was my manager at the time taught me one thing. He used to send me out to the car park, get in my car and tell me to drive. And I'd say, don't be an idiot. I don't know where I'm going. And he said, precisely. And the thing is with businesses, people don't plan. They don't plan. They think they have to plan to raise money, or they have to plan for the bank, or you have to know where you want to go. And you need to put it down in writing, because what happens is then you stumble from one thing to another, to another, to another, and gradually find your way, which is, it can work, but it's not the best way to do it. And to put a plan of action together, and it doesn't have to be, you know, it just, where do you want it? You can't get somewhere if you don't know where it is you want to go. So I think that's really important, because that'll tell you where to go and how to do it. Because once you actually start the thinking and writing it all down, what it does is, in your head, you'll come up with something you've always wanted to do within the company. And then you put all these other 6 points and you suddenly realize it doesn't fit. And so you change your mind and you go over here and you go over there. And what you end up with is this whole image of what you want it to be. And I think that's absolutely essential in everything, any business, anywhere. Because unless you do that, you're just getting in a car driving. And if you don't have a destination, you just keep driving because you don't know when to stop. So I think that's important. And the other thing was, if you've got 1,000 members, you've got 1,000 people with a lifetime of skills, a lifetime of experiences. So draw on them, you know. Opposed to that, just ask Liz if it's going to work, and if she says yeah, you're fine.
Quite. Actually, it's such a good idea to send out questionnaires to people. You know, you could match people from different parts of the world to people here. So if you start in the UK, and ladies, by all means, ask a question. There's a chat section if you want to do that, or let me know if you want to ask a question yourselves. But if somebody has something interesting themselves, you could match them with somebody across the other side of the world, that between them they can create something interesting. And it's knowing equally what you're doing, coming back to the whole point of a business, as Nick said, don't be afraid to make money. Because otherwise, yes, it can be a rolling business where you have subscriptions. But after people have given their money, they will, as Liz says, expect something in return. Now, all you women here have all got something to offer, and almost diaries from women, what their development is, might be interesting to watch themselves, where people can make their own, create their own studio at home, whatever work they're doing. This is where I'm at in developing my business, that other people can watch. So a media section is crucial, I think, for your website, a media player, and information podcasts, that type of thing. And you ladies might be able to do one, you know, sort of interviews, everything like that. They can be spread around, and especially at this moment, because you're just beginning. But as Nick says, put it into a plan. Yeah. What do you want to do, when, how, and where? But you've got all those skills, Francesca, because you're a great writer. You've got a lovely voice. You know what your website should look like. It's a great name, Silver Tent, perfect. You can see little symbols. I would do merchandise, no question. People want to know that they belong together. But for example, we have a lovely lady here who said she's a singer. Sorry, I'm just moving this out of the way. Dee. And Dee might find a jazz singer over in Brazil or something that she connects with, or some players, and say, great, when you're in London, come and let's do a gig here. Also, when you're talking about events or live events, these events, as you've already done, can be more specific. So it's, how do I go about connecting to people? What techniques, what skills do I need? Because very often people say, oh, I need more confidence. You know, well, yes, you do, but the more skills you have, the more confidence you will have as well. So imagine, say, Dee, if Dee didn't have a voice, if she couldn't sing, there's no way confidence would carry you through, would it, Dee? You know, you've got to have those skills. Auditions would just go by the way. So I've been on stage. I know that side of it. I've been definitely determination well over talent. That's me. Well, you know, is it personality over content, or content? You know, content is king here. What are your skills? If you haven't got them, bring people in with those skills and ask them to commit to it. And if you can't pay them now, pay them later. You know, but commitment is going to be key from people. And you've got, I'm sure you've got women on your site, but the questionnaire, what do you want? What business do you want? Do they want business? Do they want to know how to take their hobby into a business? Is it something creative? How many here are artists? So be specific. How many here do what? Are you artists? Are you good at supporting somebody? Are you a great writer? Are you an editor? Do you make great cakes? You know, do the Silver Tent Bake Off? You know, all sorts of things, because I'd love to see that, because I love that program.
I can see Vanessa's going to be getting in touch with me tomorrow about this Bake Off. I can tell.
Well, great. You know, I can't wait, because, you know, I think what people are tired of at the moment, they're very tired of going in and getting manufactured stuff, you know, and they want personal things. They want to know you as the creator. This is the joy, as you're talking about this day, is who am I? And when I was in Africa with my kids a number of years ago, we went to South Africa and we were in a township. It was the women that were making the bricks to build the new houses. And I was so impressed with them, but they just got on with it. And also, do you want to work in a group? Do you prefer working alone? And you can do the Myers-Briggs, and I can do that with you if you like. I'm a trained Myers-Briggs, and that teaches people about working as an introvert. And it doesn't mean you don't like people, it's just how you process your energy. Or are you an extrovert? Do you need people around you? Are you a sensation person? That's down to detail, you know, sort of accounts and legal stuff. Or are you the big thinker, the intuitive? Because you need to work in harmony. Do you think first and then feel? Or the worst thing you can have is too many of each. So if you have too many thinkers, you know, what the quality of something is doesn't work. So it's having that balance. But you've got the perfect opportunity now with your Facebook group that you can grow by asking these questions and putting out various sort of questionnaires without making them into something difficult. And then who would you like to connect with? But coming back, I think the best point I've made actually is ask people to help you and pay them later, because we don't tend to do that. But I think that's really...
still work, Marie. You've been using that one for an awful long time so far.
I've got a question here, and then I've got a question from Sunday. So I've got one from Vanessa shortly. Sunday, do you want to say yours?
Yeah, Liz. Hi, Liz. I'd be really interested in how your business involved around tarot readings. It sounds like yours has been very much an online evolution. And actually, I'd really like to know how you've monetized that. How do you draw an income from that? Because that I'm really curious. I'd love to hear that.
Oh, well, no, started off with sort of events and private readings and that level. But when obviously the first lockdown, just 12 months ago, well, just over 12 months ago, happened, it had to be a fundamental shift to online. And I wouldn't say that, I mean, probably if you'd said to me a year and a half ago, you're going to be going live and you're going to be doing this, I would have fallen on the floor laughing. And, you know, probably just a bit like Francesca, you know, it was almost how you go about utilizing Facebook. So by going live, reaching those sorts of people, and I'll be honest with you, I'll do some events and I'll say, just get in touch with me, and I will put a bit of paper up with my name and my Facebook right there. So when people do see it on playback, that image is there. People connect with you, and then you just start building that community. So it's, and it, you know, I'm not going to say it's not hard work, because it is. It's keeping variety. So I also have, you know, I don't know whether anybody knows what steampunk is, but I have a steampunk character called Countess Indora. So I do a whole range, but, you know, dressed as the Victorian psychic, but I will do talks on, you know, Victorian mysticism, you know, anybody that's a medium. The pivot point was in the Victorian era about how we've ended up today. So I know the history. I've written some books, certainly about tarot, but made a lot about the major arcana, which, you know, I know a tremendous amount about the history. So all the time you're doing your readings and say, you pull a card and then you give people something back. You tell them a little bit of history. Do you know that? My readings on Friday, my sort of one of my weekly ones, I'm talking about the sacred geometry, and I'm going to be doing readings with the sacred geometry crystals. So you're putting something different that people go, oh, well, yeah, I've sort of heard of them, but what do they mean? So all the time you're doing that. So people, you know, you would always say if you go to a room of tarot readers, go to somebody that you're drawn to. Well, the fact that people see you, they almost get a taster, then they automatically come to you. But it's hard work. You know, you do get weeks where it's quieter. I do moon manifesting courses, spirit guides, obviously tarot course, the whole range of things. And all the time you're just looking for something different, something that's going to keep that engagement. And I see Vanessa said about sort of TV, well, do you know what, you have an amazing audience on Facebook. I've not done much with YouTube, but a bit with YouTube. But what you have to do is, and about the monetizing, keep it just a slither of what you give free. So it is very much that taster. So people would only ever get one card, and you'd say, this is one card guidance. It's not a reading. This is how you go about getting a reading. But I plan. I don't just go, I'm just going to sit here with tarot cards and go, guess what?
You're
got
very active.
Yeah.
You have to be active, don't you? You have to keep doing it.
I mean, you know, like yesterday, an hour and a half I was doing live, but I got 7 readings out of that.
Yeah, exactly.
And sold 2 books.
I did business consultancy for a while, and I opened my own consultancy because everybody told me to, because I seemed to be able to see things and get things done. And I was truly the world's worst consultant. A, because I would solve it too quickly and not earn any money. And B, if they were nice, I wouldn't charge them anything. And I ended up just running around doing everything for nothing. So you have to monetize things, but give people value for money. You know, it's not about ripping people off. It's about giving people what they want and a service and everything else. But you have to monetize it in some shape or form. Otherwise, it isn't a business, it's a hobby.
You have to know your value. And also, before I ask your question and answer your question, Vanessa, is that you've got to commit to it. And commitment doesn't mean, okay, I'm going to do it 1 hour every morning. When you start running a business, and people often don't understand this, you've got to put your time and effort into it. That's every single day you've got to do something. And for the bigger business, especially something like this, I often meet people that say, oh yeah, that's okay, I'll invest. And everybody else will do it. No, it just doesn't work like that. You are not only the engine, you're the fire, you are the one that hangs everything together. People will turn to you for answers. I've known people that have run very successful businesses and given them up because they can't handle the staff. There's just too much emotional hardship that staff bring with them. So it's learning, what do I do with my staff? How do I handle them? Do I handle them, or is there somebody in my group that handles staff better? And what is the process then? And you have to create the processes. So right from the word go, when I was doing jongleurs, I created the system for the comedians. I didn't buy something off the shelf. I made it. I made sure that my system included all my ethos in it, and that comedians would be treated well. I turned down business, I turned down investment, because they wanted to have comedians that just sat in a corner and won't give them food and drink. No, just, that's it, they're a tin of beans. No, that's not how I run my business. That's not what I do. I'm not taking your money. And I'm not going to go into business with you, because if that's what they do to them, what the hell are they going to do to you? But also knowing your own instinct and trusting your instinct. If there's something wrong, your instinct will tell you, but then having people around you as mentors that you can work with that will amplify that for you and say, look, or mirror that back and say, yes, what is it you're worried about? And don't be afraid to be worried. Don't be afraid to say, I'm new to this, I don't get it, but I'm going to make it work. Vanessa, I'll read your question, which is, I'd love to see mutually beneficial sponsorship for projects in the Silver Tent, and also get mainstream TV and radio coverage. Suggestions? Yes, it's the Holy Grail, frankly, Vanessa. Sponsorship at this moment in time, and I know Liz will say something and so will Nick, but it is the Holy Grail. There are so many people crying out for sponsorship. However, you've got a niche, and the more active you can make it, and the more women you can turn to and bring on board, you will get certain people who will want to sponsor, because it's such a wonderful idea. But then what they do is, and it's quite brutal, is that they need to see your analytics, they call it, as you know, how many women come to the site, what do they need, what do they look for? But you might get local sponsors. If you know you're doing events in a local area, you might get local sponsors, or you might get women who want to be pushed to the front of the site, paying more. So there's a number of different sort of areas that you can, because sponsorship fundamentally is getting money for advertising them and pushing them. So it's what can you offer in return? And very often it's your numbers. Coming back to mainstream television and radio coverage, you can get mainstream TV. If you think of something, especially local TV, you can get that. Mainstream is to create something that people want to hear. And there's, you've got to have a hook, as they say. And that is not difficult to do. You will do something, but it takes a bit of time to think about what that hook could be. And it could be that, the starting of getting the oldest woman in the group to start a business and make it successful. So, there might be a woman like Sir Tom who does something. She might be 99 years old and 9 months. And in 3 months, by the time she's 100, she's started her business. How cool is that? I just think there's a way to do this, and you can think of something, because we can. And don't be afraid to give suggestions. Don't be afraid to think, don't ever say, oh, I can't say that. Don't ever say that. Always ask, always have those suggestions, because if you don't use it today, you might use it tomorrow, in 10 years. I've been planning my life now. When I was in my 20s, I lived in a bedsit, and I thought, no, you can't do that yet, Maria, because you haven't got enough experience. And there's that part of ourselves that knows. Radio coverage you can get, for sure, because you can create your own radio. You can do podcasts. It's how do you make that happen? Who do you speak to? Who are the most interesting women? But I would definitely go for the Sir Tom approach, especially for TV coverage. There you are, all that for nothing. Liz, what do you think?
No, I can't disagree. And it's having that niche, and it's, the members that you've got already, the ideas that they have, and bringing that sort of community energy to it. I think it's just so valuable, so important. And, just to go sort of for a completely different example, you know, it's the guy that's singing the sea shanties at the moment. Just, he's almost like completely gone viral. Pick something that's a niche and absolutely put your heart and soul behind, you know, getting that coverage. And, you know, for TV, media, everybody, he just seemed to be everywhere for a few days. You know, that's just gonna, I'm not suggesting you sing sea shanties, by the way, but, you know, whatever it is, you know, just pull that up. And if you've got that commitment at that time, to go with it.
Well, what's so lovely here, you've got a number of women that are supporting you that all want to do something. And it's just finding, don't worry if it's not your idea initially. Don't, just try it out and say, actually, the idea might not work, but we're trying out the system. The idea might not work, but we're going to see who people respond to. You know, and try to be in theatre. When you do improvisation, you have to say yes. The whole joy of doing improvisation on stage or in the theatre or performing, if you're performing and you've got a band behind you, you are the performer and the band has to follow you. If you make a mistake, they catch up with you. They take you back to where you're meant to be. That's what the team has to be. They support you. If you are going to be that person who does make a mistake, just know that you're going to be there and go, okay, that didn't work, but let's move on to the next thing. But always
make the mistakes is good.
Very good, because you learn.
Making mistakes is great.
And you'll always find something that is worthwhile through it. And, you know, do tests, test things out. Say, I'm going to see, like the questionnaire. Who likes art? See what they say. Who wants to communicate across the world? See what they say. You know,
But
just ask
the
questions.
only danger in that, Marie, is if you don't have a plan to start off with, if you ask everybody everything, it can send you backwards, forwards, up, down. You've got to have a clear vision.
You see, the next forte.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, if you don't, I mean, I think a business leader is paid to think. The first thing I do in any business is I know really I'm good at a lot of things. I'm terrible at a lot of things as well. And the first thing I do is get people to cover the things I'm terrible at, you know, so I can concentrate on the things I'm good at. I've screwed up a lot, and I'm known as, I don't exactly do things in a normal fashion all the time. I've got a restaurant boat, and not only have I got the youngest female skipper in the UK, I also made sure she had Asperger's syndrome as well. So 50 people come to eat and dine on my restaurant boat, and they're driven by a 20-year-old girl with Asperger's syndrome who's 4'11" and has to stand in a box to see where she's going. But she's brilliant. And what you have to develop is you have to develop what you think is right, what suits your business and where you want to go. Then you can take every opinion in the world, and if it fits in with your vision, you take it. If not, you smile and gracefully send it back. Because things have to be led and people have to lead. And it's not scary to lead. It gets you to where you want to go. I couldn't work for anybody else now. I would be an utter pain in the neck. I really would, because I go on my time and everything else, and my time might be 7 days a week, or it might be 4 days a week, because I don't overwork unless I have to. But you just take that responsibility, and it's good, but know where you're going. Always know where you're going, and then ask opinions, not before, is all I'd say.
We're coming to the end, but Francesca, is there anything you'd like to end up with? I hope that answered your question, Vanessa. Was that helpful? And Francesca, is there anything else you want to finish with?
Actually, no, I don't think so. Thank you so much. What's really lovely is I do have a very clear vision. Yes. And I do get a very instant sense of whether something fits or not. And one of the things that I've got is, yes, this website, to develop the website is essential, and I'm on the right track. And that feels really great. And I'm going to re-watch this and pull the pieces.
All the pieces, absolutely. Because, you know, there's no question you're on the right track. And sometimes when you're in yourself and you're doing the work, sometimes you get this spark of an idea and you say, this is what I've got to do. And then suddenly you're making it happen. And the idea is sort of almost, it's like pouring concentrated juice into water. It starts becoming, you know, sort of less certain of it, and you start losing its power. Oh, am I doing the right thing? Because you have a hiccup with an IT person, or the color's wrong, or you've got to focus on this. That's why tell everybody your vision and let everybody who works with you keep you to that vision. Even if you're doing the support and you think, I don't agree with this, by all means, write it down and have a box called I don't agree box. But let the thing get up and running first. Make it happen, then don't agree. Then have a look at what you don't agree with. Because if you don't agree too much at the beginning, you'll never get anything off the ground. And I think for you, it's absolutely crucial. You're on the right track. It's the right vision, the right idea, and all the other ideas we've put forward here, you can pick up and you can go, right, I love that. I want to do this one first, because you will use them. Depends which order. And Liz, is there anything you'd like to say before we go?
No, but just, you know, if you've got that vision, stick with it. Absolutely stick with it and believe in it, because you're passionate about it. You know,
and if anybody wants a reading with Liz, you can find her on www.speakyourmind. Yeah, there's one already, Nick. She's fantastic, Liz. www.speakyourmind.global. There you are. There's the intention out there. And it's under the psychic section. If not, you've got my email address, or just leave a message on the site for Liz and any readings. If you want to speak to Nick at any point, come through to me about that. It's a pleasure sort of doing this as a session. I hope it was what you wanted, Francesca.
Thank you.
It's a delight to meet you all, ladies, and I'm sure we'll be in touch and keep in touch in one form or another. And we will be having another Speak Your Mind in a couple of weeks' time. Not quite sure what the theme is going to be. Actually, I quite like this. I love the idea of the business. And but it's a great pleasure to get to know you all. And I know it will be a wonderful success. And being slightly over 50, to say that I am absolutely delighted that we're going to take over this section of the world. You know, women in business, thriving, making things happen, and jiving. Isn't that right? So until the next time, thank you for joining us on Speak Your Mind.
Nice to meet you all.
And to you.